guys, it's Dad Dash. I'm out here in the field. I figured I'd do a video because it's very slow. I haven't got an order yet. I've turned down a bunch of orders, just none that I thought were worth my time. So it got me thinking while I was sitting out here doing nothing, making no money, and at least I'm keeping my car stationary right now. But it got me thinking about what's the real issue here. How can we improve this experience for us? Because I've turned down a whole slew of orders today. And the main issue with the orders was they were too small. It got me thinking, whose fault is that? Is that DoorDash? Is that the customers? And obviously, you know, there was a movement out there before we had the Top Dasher movement. It was called No Tip, No Trip, and there's still debate on that, whether that exists. And I think that movement is correct in some things and incorrect in others. To me, I think the only movement we should be worried about right now, and the way we can re-trigger this to make it make sense into something that every driver could get behind and every customer could get behind, and between the customers of these apps and the drivers of these apps, we could come together with one common cause. And that is the idea that it is the responsibility of these apps to create a valuable order that does two things. It gets the driver to pick up the order, and it gets the food and the order to the customer hot and in good condition, so they get their value, because the customer's getting value as well. And the value in the customer experience is that they get their food as close to as if they were in a restaurant as possible. And the value in the driver is obviously in the money and the time and making sure that they're making money while they're out here, whatever that amount is, and that they're able to, each order they take, make money. So to me, instead of saying no tip, no trip, which is very catchy, it's very easy, it rhymes, but no value, no trip is, you know, and maybe there's another way to say it that's catchier. But essentially, if there's no value in that order, we don't accept. Or we could say no value, no accept. And that's the way we can coin it, because it's really not an issue with the customer. Because the customers is dependent as we are on DoorDash, who has said supposedly they are experts at understanding how to link the customer and the driver together, and that they're experts at creating enough value for us as a driver to take that order and deliver for the restaurant, and for the customer, being the customer, to get value out of the customer, out of the delivery experience and having their food delivered. And then they, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, whoever it is, can also at the same time get value from the fact that they're going to make money and profits off of being that middle person, and that they're bringing technology in to streamline everything, control costs, and create a value for everyone involved. Now, the problem that we have right now is that is a beautiful premise. But the issue we have right now is that DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, these apps are, in one sense, you could almost say, being criminal to the degree that what they've decided to do is they've decided to try to collect as much value from both sides. So they're gouging the customer with as much money as possible and trying to give them an appearance of value on their end. And then on the other end, they're trying to get the driver to deliver this order for as little value to themselves as possible. And then they're trying to pull all the money to the middle. And they do this through all types of craziness and manipulations and things. And it causes a lot of chaos in the space, because DoorDash, especially like someone like DoorDash, who is charging a lot of fees. And I want everyone to understand, if you haven't been a customer of every app you're working for, you really need to do it. And you need to do your market research before you really let that anger fly at that customer and say, oh, you're such a dirty, rotten person, because it's really not the full story. There are customers out there that are like, I don't want to pay anything. They know they're getting, like, they're leaving nothing for the driver, and it's like, wow, what are you doing? And you know, you're using this service, you're paying money to DoorDash, you're okay with DoorDash keeping all your money, you're okay with getting your food, and you're okay with the driver getting a very small, slim part. Although I don't even know if that customer really realizes that that's everything that's going on. So like I said, I don't think the customer is as evil in this case as they're made out to be. I think that real evil is in the apps and the way they're allowed to operate, and the way we allow them to tell the story, and the customer allows them to tell the story, and the way they can tell the story that it's a driver problem because they don't accept enough orders, so their pay isn't high enough, or it's a customer problem because they don't tip enough, and it's not the real problem here. And the real problem is the man in the middle. The man in the middle being DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. It's their job to get this order priced out that meets 3 criteria. The driver gets paid enough, the customer gets their food warm enough at a reasonable enough price, and DoorDash gets their money to be able to operate and make money as well, because obviously everyone in this is not here for free. Not even the customers here for free. And then, of course, the restaurant being the 4th prong, that they get their food delivered and the customer gets a great experience, and the customer makes money on a customer that otherwise might not have ordered tonight because they weren't feeling like going out. So they may have stayed home and cooked. They may have stayed home and done something else. But because they had the convenience of an app, they can do that. So, the thing I think everybody should really look hard at is this, especially in the food delivery space, the food delivery apps are marking up prices. Okay? That's the first thing to understand. So the first thing the customer gets hit with is when they decide to use that app, they mark up the price. They don't have to tell the customer they're doing it. Then each of these food delivery apps charges it's like a convenience fee or a maintenance fee, basically, that says it goes for their cost of about 20%. Then on top of that, they're collecting either a monthly subscription fee or a per delivery fee as well, which kind of gives the appearance like that money's going to the driver, but it's really not, right? And then on top of that, when they get to the end of all of this, when they've watched their bill, which may be $42, and then they've got an $8 or a $9 maintenance fee on top of that, and maybe they've got a $6 or $7 or $8 or $10 delivery fee on top of that, and they didn't even realize that they also probably paid, maybe an additional $6, $7, $8 on top of what they would have paid if they'd have just gone to the restaurant's website or gone to the restaurant. Well, top of that, now they're sitting at about a $60 bill, and now DoorDash comes out and says, all right, we would recommend that you tip this DoorDash driver $8. And they're like, holy Christ. And they see right down there, right near where they have to make their tipping decision, that this is, they've already paid about $18 in fees, and we're asking you to pay another $8. And then the customer's like, oh, God damn, no way, I can't do that. The driver's getting, some of that $18. Or they're saying, okay, well, I can't do $8. I'll do $4. I mean, the driver's already getting some of that money. What they don't realize is on the DoorDash platform, out of $18, we might see $2.25, or at least that's our initial offer. And then the $4 equals $6.25. And for the driver, depending on mileage, time it's spent at the restaurant, etc., the driver's not going to accept that, which they shouldn't if it doesn't make sense. There are some orders at $6.25 that might make sense, but if it's a long distance, if it's a long wait restaurant, it's not going to make sense from a value perspective for them to take it. But DoorDash should, in this type of an instance where they're charging so much, which is like every order, it's DoorDash's responsibility to say, well, no, you don't get to keep all that money. You don't get to just hand out $2.25. You have to come up with a fair scheme, a fair process that says, okay, this is how a driver's compensated. And, all right, for this order, yeah, $18 was paid, driver gets $10, $4 tip, it's $14 off, there's $14 for the delivery, and the driver says, absolutely, I'll take that. And then the customer gets a great experience. And then DoorDash gets to keep, $8, and that goes to their expenses. And then if that's not enough for DoorDash, then DoorDash should have to charge, $10 or $22. But if the customer says, you know what, that's too expensive, then the order doesn't happen. And that's just what it is. Or DoorDash decides, you know what, I'll take a little bit of a haircut, and to get this order delivered, to build the relationship with the customer, with the belief that this customer is going to understand and like the convenience of what they've just done, and therefore when we bump the price up a little bit later on down the road, they will be more apt to go into their app and do it again and again and again after they get 2, 3, 4, 5 orders in. The convenience of having food delivered at their door, hot and in good condition, is going to absolutely bring them in, and the positive experience that they're going to have is going to bring them in and say, I really enjoy this. I really like this. But that's the issue. The issue at hand is not with the customer. It's not with the driver not accepting. It's with the apps not paying enough money out of the money they're already receiving, and the apps trying to keep all of this money that they're extracting out of the customer prior to asking for a tip, okay, which is a gratuity anyways, and wanting to figure out a way to not have to pay us a reasonable, fair value for our time and effort is the issue right now that's going on. DoorDash loves us to say no tip, no trip. They love us to talk tip because tip means we're holding the customer accountable and not them. And yes, there is some accountability on the customer, but the reality is let's just say we eliminated tips altogether. And DoorDash said, all right, Mr. Customer, instead of tipping, you're going to pay a fee to us, and then you're going to pay a delivery fee, and then you're going to pay a service charge to the delivery driver as well. And that's for their time. And this will be on your rating or whatever, but you're required to pay it. You don't get out of it. So, you have to justify it by rating it poorly, telling us what's going on, and then the driver would not get the, not get this delivery fee. And, in that system, there's no tip. So let's say DoorDash says a 5-star rating in this instance for this type of order, for this type of thing, is $10. And the delivery cost and fee is $6.99. So therefore, the driver's going to get $16.99 for this, and it's going 4 miles. Would you take that order? Of course you would. Does it matter that the customer didn't tip? No, it doesn't, because there's extremely great value in that order and how it's going to represent to you. That you look at the order and say it's a good restaurant, it's a good, low weight, drive time is good, mileage is good. You go pick that order up, deliver it, and you're done with it. Who cares about the tip in that instance? So, guys, what we have to really start focusing on here is the fact that the issue at hand within these food delivery apps is not about tipping. Okay? Tipping is a distraction. It's about value. And it's our job as delivery drivers, it's to make sure that we hold the apps accountable by refusing to do orders that don't represent a good value. It's the customer's job to do their part by refusing to pay money to a company without seeing the breakdown of where that money's going. And if an app won't do that for you, and you don't know how much your delivery driver's making, and you don't know how much is being paid throughout this entire process, and you don't know what's being marked up, what's not, then you should not use that delivery app. And say, nope, I'm not using it. And it's DoorDash's job to then figure out, how can I make sure that the customer's money is being, that the customer is paying a reasonable amount of money to have their food delivered, and that we can get the food delivered, the customer happy, the driver paid enough of a amount that everyone feels like they got value out of the entire situation. So value is the key here, not tip. Tip is a piece of value, but what we need to do is we need to hold these companies accountable. The way we can do it as drivers is just simply saying no to them when they present with us with an order that is not valuable. Now, if they give me a $10 1 mile order, I'll take it. And if I find out there's no tip, I don't care, because it was $10 in 1 mile and it represented value. The tip itself matters not, because I know that the money that was paid in order to pay me the $10 came from the customer anyways. It's just, so who cares? Anyways, guys, put in the comments what your thoughts are on this. I know this is probably going to be pretty controversial for some, but you got to really give it some thought. Change your thinking. if we all can get together on this issue right here, and we can all present it correctly, we can get the gig economy, the gig world, correct, and get it paying us correct. And, we can make it a place that's a good place to work and a good place for us to come and make money and less exploitive. Talk to you guys soon.